Hello and welcome to the Extremis Publishing Podcast. I'm Tom Christie. Happy New Year to all our listeners, and where better to start your new year than here at Falkirk Library, where I'm joined with Lynne James and Jennifer Hosie, who are both members of the library here, who have very kindly agreed to talk a little bit about what you can expect from the library services, the different things that are going on here, and all of the new things to expect in the coming year ahead. So thank you very much, Jennifer and Lynne, for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting us.
So, the new year, new challenges, new hopes. What kind of things are happening at Falkirk Library?
Well, quite often we have a very varied year, and it's often marked by national events and things that happen across Scotland. So we always celebrate things like World Book Day, which comes around in March, doesn't it?
Yep.
The Summer Reading Challenge, which by the time it comes around and by the time we've got it all sorted, and then you have the whole of the summer, because we're basically taking over from the schools in the summer and entertaining the kids for the summer, so we've always got lots and lots of events, and by the end of the summer we are very happy that the children are going back to school, because we've had such a great time, but we're knackered afterwards.
Yeah.
It's always very successful, isn't it?
It is, and then we launch into the Writing Ramming, which is our writing competition that happens in the autumn, which has just been had our celebration for this 2024, which was a very good evening we've had. Lots of lucky winners.
Yeah, it's something that we started. Will it be the 8th one this year?
I think it is, yes.
It's the 8th one this year, so we started it probably 9 years ago when you consider COVID. And it's called the Writing Rammy because it is a Rammy. It's for everybody. It's for people of all ages, whether you're 7 or you're 70. We've had a really lovely response, and we've had some really, really amazing writing over the years. And some people have been published elsewhere now. And a couple of people have said that it sort of started them on their creative writing journey, which is really nice, and given them the confidence to write and to keep writing. So that's lovely. And we usually have the celebration event for that during Book Week Scotland, which is when, of course, we had you visit us to do your talk about your Christmas books, which was a really great day.
That was an amazing event. Thank you so much for having invited me along. It was so nice to meet so many people, and it was just a really good time.
Everybody likes a bit of Christmas, don't they?
Yeah. Lots of debate over what was the favourite Christmas films. But yeah, we usually do all this sort of stuff during Book Week Scotland, but throughout the year we have lots of interesting author events. We don't have any author events planned yet, but there will definitely be some, and there will certainly be some during Book Week Scotland in November.
It's a long way away.
I feel like we've marched on throughout the year, haven't we?
Yeah.
Throughout the year, though, we have lots of different things happening in the libraries. Libraries are very busy places now, and they're not very quiet places either. Very much a hub of the community, very much somewhere that we want people to come and spend time. All of our libraries offer free tea and coffee, especially during the colder months. All of our libraries have things like jigsaws and newspapers and puzzles out and things for families to do, so you can certainly come and while away the hours in the library, especially if you want to try and save your heating bill a bit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
But beyond that, we've got lots of clubs, haven't we?
We have Memories clubs, so Memories Scotland, and football memories for those that aimed at men who want to talk about football. We have Words for Wellbeing groups, which take the flavour of whatever group members come along. So sometimes they talk about poetry, sometimes they're talking about, I know in Larbert recently they did one on sleep and how to get better sleep and some other kind of wellbeing things. We have gardening groups, hopefully starting new gardening groups across some of the libraries this year. For the kids, we have Lego clubs. We have Create Club, which usually is a craft but can be anything. There's a chess club at Bonnybridge. And we have Bookbug for the
Let's
under
not forget
fives.
Bookbug.
They can't forget, never forget Bookbug. Massively popular to have Bookbug. Yeah.
All of our libraries have Bookbug sessions which happen on a weekly basis, some of them twice weekly.
Yeah.
Lego Club is usually monthly, and so is Create Club. So yeah, there's a real mix of things for different ages and interests.
Yes, and don't forget we now have our musical instruments lending, and we have our gardening bags lending as well.
The musical instruments we launched during Libraries Week in October. So currently you can borrow acoustic guitars, ukuleles, but coming soon we're hoping for some electric guitars and keyboards. And if anyone has a musical instrument that's languishing in the loft, you're welcome to donate it to us. We will give it a good home. It's been really popular, we're really pleased with it.
So I'm really glad to hear all this talk of creativity in so many different ways, artistic, musical and literary, amongst others, because libraries are so much more than books nowadays. I mean, they're absolutely irreplaceable hearts of the community. What kind of things have you got coming up later in the year, that are going to give people this opportunity to embrace their creativity?
We forgot to mention our World Book Night. It's another thing that we hit, and last year we had a successful spoken word event. We'll be redoing that, so that gives people a chance.
That was an incredible night, and it really surpassed our expectations, because we thought, we'll put this spoken word event on, we'll see if anyone wants to come along, and the response was pretty phenomenal, wasn't it?
It was great. People who just wanted a chance to tell us about their work. They didn't want it in a competition, they didn't want it judged, they just wanted to come and share. And people wanted to come along and listen to people sharing their own work, which was great. And
a real mix of experience as well. There was people who had really just sort of started out writing, but there were also storytellers, published authors like Alan Gaw. It was quite the night.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be repeating that.
Yeah, and we're hoping to start a creative writing group as well. Hopefully at Falkirk Libraries, or maybe both. We will see what the response is like.
Because audiobooks are an area of such amazing interest. I mean, it's the industry's due to be worth, 30 billion by 2030? So, I mean, how are you finding there's uptake on that? I mean, is there growing interest now?
100%,
Yes, we have two
platforms. E-services usually,
Yeah, we've got the two platforms. We've got uLibrary and we have Libby, which both provide audiobooks. And we find that there's a range of ages that want to listen to audiobooks. So we have quite a selection across the two platforms.
I am personally very committed to Libby. I love our Libby app, and it's really great in terms of, if you're used to using Audible. Obviously, it's not got everything like Audible does, but it works in exactly the same way. But it's free, and if you're a library member, you basically sign up with your library card and your PIN, and you download the app, and it works in the same way as Audible. It's got things like stop-start features. You can speed up how quickly people speak. It's got sleep timers. It's a really, really great thing, and I use it all the time. I absolutely love it.
You're the biggest advocate for it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Listen to it all the time. I think as well because my eyesight's gotten poorer, so I'm listening a lot more than reading. We've got Press Reader as well. So these are digital versions of popular magazines, newspapers, the kind of stuff you're going to pay maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 quid for when you're in the supermarket, are all free, back issues included, and you can download them to your phone, your iPad, again completely free with your library membership. What else do we have? Theory Test Pro, so if you're getting ready for your driving test, Theory Test Pro is really good. I used that when I passed my driving test at the general age of 50 last year, and it's got hazard perception and all the other stuff in it, so it's really useful.
We have transparent languages.
Yes, we do.
For learning your Spanish for your Mexican trip.
Yeah.
It's free, so you can download the app and learn whatever language you would like.
Yeah. We've got a new not digital service as such, but cloud printing was something that we introduced last year as well. Obviously, in the days of internet shopping, people are posting things back more, posting things away, especially people selling things on Vinted and all that sort of stuff as well. So now you can send your prints from the comfort of your home to the library, and then you just come in and collect your print. You obviously have to pay for your print, but it's much easier because you can just do it from your desktop or from your phone. You don't have to log into one of our library PCs to do it. So that's been really popular actually. People have really embraced it, and certainly over the Christmas period it was used pretty heavily with people sending back packages and sending on packages.
Another thing that's often overlooked but really important about libraries, of course, is physical media, because we were told, of course, that streaming media was going to take over and that everybody would want to download from these streaming services. And of course, they are important in their own way, but more and more now we see people coming back to traditional physical books to DVDs to compact discs. What do you think is the appeal of having that physical item? Because I know that one of the things that's often said about physical books is that you're 70% more likely to retain the information from a book than you would be if you're scrolling through an ebook reader. So, I mean, what do you think are the reasons why people are coming back with a vengeance now to these physical media products?
I think it's the feel of a book. You can't replicate that in an e-reader. You just the weight of a book, the smell of a book. You need it in your hands.
Yeah. And also, you've got that marker of how much have you got to go.
Yes, yes.
I think as well.
Yeah, it says, I know it tells you at the bottom of the e-reader what you are, but it doesn't.
It's not the same.
Look the same. No.
And when I'm somebody that carries a book around with me, just in case there might be an opportunity to read something.
I feel a bit bereft if I don't have a book to hand.
Yeah. And I think as well, obviously the marketing of books is very heavily with the covers now, and books just look good. They just look nice. And I know there's you get lots of people sort of decorating with books and having their very pretty shelves. But I guess if you're borrowing from the library, you can update those shelves all the time. You can borrow 30 books from our library, so you could essentially fill one of your shelves with our library books.
And are you in favour of this new trend now of stacking books by colour and by size, or does it have to be duodecimal classification?
Oh goodness, no. I think you do. You do what suits you, don't you?
I do like height order, but not for a library. Yeah.
No. You would never find anything.
No, exactly. But yeah.
At home, I confess, I've got a bookshelf that is colour coded.
You'll be struck off.
Yeah, I know. With me, my records are all alphabetical order, but my books are colour coded.
And what are you finding are the major reading trends at the moment? What's changing and what's staying the same?
Crime is always the number one.
There. Yeah. But TikTok is having a big influence on younger readers. I believe that romance is back, that the Bridgerton factor is having an impact on the younger females especially.
Yeah. And I think what we would maybe term is teen reads. I mean, certainly we grew up in a time where you didn't really have teen fiction. You kind of went from almost Judy Blume to Stephen King before you knew it. Whereas now the teen market is huge, and I wouldn't call it teen market. I'd probably call it young adult market. It's massive, and it's not just young adults who are reading it. There are older people who are reading it too.
And a lot of established kind of adult authors are dipping into that market. They like a bit of that action.
Yeah. Because I think as well, it's the teen market's really important as well because it addresses a lot of, it kind of tries to reflect people's experiences back at them. So it's really diverse, which I think is really great about the teen market, particularly. Yeah.
And what do you think about future trends for books? Because when we started in publishing, the big innovation was going to be the espresso book machine, which if you're listening at home and perhaps you're not familiar with it, it was basically like a gigantic photocopier that you could have in an independent bookshop that could produce your book within a matter of minutes, and you could buy it literally, any book that was on that list of ISBNs, and have it there within a very short period of time and take it home with you. It hasn't really taken off in the UK the way that it did in continental Europe, and I wonder, what are your thoughts about these changing trends? How do you think technology is going to bring this physical love of reading back into people's lives?
Maybe less physical wise, but certainly the conversation that we had briefly, the notion of sort of AI being used more, especially in something like audiobooks, because I know there was the people were quite kind of up in arms at the notion that it was going to be an AI voice that was going to be narrated to you rather than a human voice. And as someone who loves audiobooks very much, I don't know that I would enjoy that because I think you need the warmth and the inflection of the human voice. Right?
Yeah, and I mean that raises a whole can of worms because of course you can get an actor to read an audiobook and then have a famous person's voice superimposed over it. So with the agreement of the estate, you could have a famous Hollywood actor of yesteryear narrating your books. And I think, well, the ethicality besides that issue, you do wonder whether or not it ever replaces just somebody who's a really, really good voice actor.
Yeah. I think that it's hugely important to the enjoyment of a book is to have that voice. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see how those debates are taking shape, actually, because I remember the outrage last year when the Internet Archive was hacked and people realised just what an enormous resource was there, and obviously that's all digital content. So, I mean, I think that goes even more so for physical items, and the need to keep these books in circulation, because, you know, I think, particularly somebody's a really voracious reader, it's the best way of getting that information out there. So, do you think, you know, that's going to continue? I mean, do you think there's more of a trend towards ebooks, or do you think that's maybe plateaued now? Or?
I think it's
possibly plateaued.
Yeah.
I think as well, certainly for obviously, if you're going to Amazon, you can get pretty much whatever you like. In terms of the library world, we all have our individual library services, and there's different platforms like Libby and BorrowBox and so on. And the price of ebooks is still very expensive for us to purchase, to make available, and they're not all available.
No, and you get different ones and different suppliers, and as libraries we can't have all the different platforms. We just don't have the budget to have everything. So although we can get any published book for the shelves, you can't have any ebook for the shelf, you know, for the platforms.
It's a bit like if you want to stay up with modern TV, you've got to buy 4 different streaming services. It's a bit like that with their apps.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose that must be a huge issue for archiving generally. You know, if you're having a lot of case in point, you know, for instance, archive newspapers where you might traditionally have thought of microfiche, and these are now available online. The question is, how long will these file formats necessarily be in circulation? Will they change if more high resolution becomes available, if new technology becomes available? Whereas if you have the original item, you know, you know that that's there to be preserved and to be accessed for future generations. So, I mean, do you think that's going to be a challenge coming up in the years ahead?
I think preservation is always a challenge, isn't it?
We would always be looking at preserving newspapers in their physical form. We wouldn't be necessarily, we don't digitise, we just do microfiche still. But yeah, I suppose, as you say, it's how many formats have disappeared that things have been put onto, and then that's no longer available. So if you keep the physicals, then they'll always be there.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, because I think people are more and more now becoming aware of the need to have that connection with physical items. I mean, if you're buying a birthday present or a Christmas present, so much nicer to give somebody a physical book that they can keep and treasure, and, you know, perhaps lend to their friends or pass down to their kids or whatever, than would be the case if you give them a card that will allow them to access an ebook, for instance. And I think people are more and more aware of that now than perhaps they were.
Yeah. I mean, I think as well, when you've got, and again, it's going back to films and going back to TV, but the fact that a streaming service can remove something at the drop of a hat that you had perhaps paid to download, you know, I guess it's questions about rights and ownerships. And I can see why people have gone back to vinyl. Vinyl as well, because it is so tactile and it looks so great as well. But I know more and more people are buying DVDs again, for instance. And I think the same is probably true of books.
Yeah, there's a warmth to vinyl, isn't there, that you don't find with a CD.
Yeah,
I think that's absolutely true. So, looking ahead to the year coming up then, do you have any particular ambitions for the year that's ahead of us? Or are you just happy to see where it takes you?
We're always quite busy, so I think it's getting through.
We tend to kind of jump from one thing to the next, because, as I said, you know, you've got, and amongst all the general library things that you're doing, you've got the kind of national things that happen through the year, World Book Day, World Book Night, Summer Reading Challenge. So you're always hopping from one thing to the next. You're always planning ahead. Or we would love to. I think the thing that I would love more than anything else is to be able to plan further ahead. But I don't think that will ever happen.
No, I think we're lucky if we're doing 3 months ahead.
Yeah, I don't think the book trade's given to long-term planning, because there are so many things just get in the way, don't they? They just arrive out the blue that you never expect, and publishing's exactly the same, to be honest. So I think that's what makes it exciting, though. Because you never know what's going to come around the corner.
Oh yeah, I mean, we definitely do not have dull jobs.
No.
That's for sure. It's always interesting and it's always new.
I was looking for new things to do. So like this year has been a kind of year of gardening. Or sorry, 24 was the year of gardening.
It was for us, wasn't it?
Yes. So who knows what 25 bring?
So, what would be your advice for someone who's coming to the library for the first time, perhaps just moved into the Falkirk area? What would you recommend would they be best placed to find, of interest, they want to get engaged with, want to perhaps make friends, join the reading communities, those kind of things, what would you say is your top recommendation?
Come join the library.
Yeah.
Don't just spend time in the library. Come sit to a jigsaw, have a cup of tea, see who's about, speak to the staff, bring your children to BookBug. Come join a reading group. We have so many other things going on that we're not just a place of books. We have lots and lots of activity for anybody.
Yeah, you'll always find someone to talk to in the library, and library staff are fairly knowledgeable, and most of them live in the local area, so if you want to know a bit about the local area, we're always happy to kind of point you to other people who can help, other organisations that can help, and we are here to help.
We are
ultimately, yes.
Well, Lynne and Jennifer, thank you so much for having taken the time to speak with us today. It's absolutely fantastic to hear of all the different things that are happening here at Falkirk Library, and I do hope that if you're in the area, or you're perhaps coming into the Falkirk area for the first time, that you'll find out more about it, that you'll visit the website, and also that you'll join the library on social media and find out all of the latest news about what's going on here, because there is so much to talk about, so many events coming up, and I'm sure that you'll find something that will be of interest to you. So once again, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been great to speak to you, and thank you for everyone who's been listening at home. I do hope that you'll come and join us again soon.